Fantastic. Welcome everybody to this Easter in a Box, the movie training session. It's really good to see you here with us. I'm Liz and Jane is that side of me at the moment, and we're Bristol Schools Connection, and we work in the Bristol region, basically supporting churches and individuals in churches and leadership teams, all kinds of different people, to build relationship with their local school, primary and secondary, in all sorts of different ways. And one of the ways that we do that is by producing resources like Easter in a Box that we make available for churches in Bristol, but also across wherever. We'd be happy for it to go across the world, but so far it's gone across the nation, to use as a tool for sharing the Easter story in a fun and creative way. That's kind of, we're both ex-teachers, we're both ex-schools workers, so that's just a bit about who we are. Okay, so the aim of this session this morning, this next hour or so, is to introduce you to Easter in a Box, the movie. We launched it last year, so it was used in schools, so quite hundreds of children used it last year, which is great, so it's kind of tested, and we had some really great feedback. It is only the second year, so we still would love it if you would feedback. If you decide to use Easter in a Box this year, we would love to hear your comments. We have tweaked it this year in response to some feedback that we had last year. So the resource we've designed is free. The cost to you is of putting the boxes together with the props inside, but the resource we've produced is free, and I'll show you more about that a bit later, what you get in the pack. It's designed for children in Key Stage 2, so years 3 to 6, age 7 to 11, and it's super flexible. It can be used in all sorts of different ways, different group numbers, different numbers of volunteers, and we'll talk you through that later as well. It's as is the heart of Bristol Schools Connection. It's our gift to the local church to bless the local school. But if you're here as a teacher, you work at a school, it's great to have you here as well. We just really encourage you to maybe involve your local church in hosting Easter in a Box, the movie, if you possibly can. So it's designed to enrich the spiritual life of the school, the children, and it covers aspects of the RE curriculum and also the spiritual, moral, social, cultural agenda that the school has to cover. And it also promotes emotional and mental well-being. Now, we all know that the Easter story is a story of great power, of great wonder, and of great depth. And the arc of the story is really the human story, and it's a story, isn't it, that's told over and over again in books and movies. It's that journey from struggle, through struggle and pain, out the other side to hope and to life. And we kind of clocked that, oh, that's a story of all these superhero movies that the children watch. And so we thought it'd be a fun way to share the Easter story through thinking of it from a movie concept point of view. So the idea of Easter in a Box is that the children are invited to imagine that they're on a movie set watching the filming of Easter the movie, and they're watching the story unfold in their imaginations, maybe even acting it out a little bit. So that gives them a kind of, there's difficult material, isn't there, in the Easter story for children and for all of us. And so it gives them a chance to sort of watch the action from a slightly safe distance, and to watch the story unfolding. So we hope that the kind of movie aspect of the resource brings an element of lightness and fun to the whole story, but we also really hope that we've retained a sense of sobriety and respect for the importance of this story for Christians. Like Christmas in a Box, some of you may have used that already, some of you have. It's active, it's tactile, it's fun, it's interactive, it's spiritual, and it's for everyone. It's for any child of any worldview. So what we're going to do this morning is we're going to introduce you briefly to the user guide, which is the kind of script and the key kind of information about Easter in a Box. We're going to introduce you to the actual resource. You can see Jane has got the actual resource next to her there. And Jane is going to unpack some of the boxes for you as if she's with a group of children so that you can see it demonstrated. And then she's going to show you the objects in the other boxes. So we'll just unpack 2 in detail and then show you the objects in the rest of the boxes. Then we'll talk a bit about practicalities, resources, organisation, cost, all those kinds of things. There's plenty of time for questions. So if you have a question that's burning, just feel free to pop it in the chat at any time. We will get round to them, but there'll also be paused for questions at various points as well. Equally, if you just have a question, it's burning, feel free to just put your hand up or unmute or something and chip in. That would be great. We'll be posting all relevant links to everything that we talk about in the chat as well. Okay, fantastic. So it's that moment for sharing my screen. Okay, this is the user guide that we produced for Easter in a Box, not Christmas in a Box. And inside there, it's got the script for the scenes. It's got the different curriculum areas that are covered. So it's quite useful information if you're approaching a school about doing Easter in a Box. It's got everything that you need, basically. There's also a downloadable resource list and some other items which we'll show you later. It's really helpful before you host a Easter in a Box session in school. If you say to the teacher, it's really good if the children can hear the story, the Easter story, in the couple of days or the week before you go in, just to remind them, because we know, don't we, that not all children, in fact, not even many children are really familiar with the Easter story. And so it's helpful if they've heard it a bit before you go in. Okay, this is the resource, which you can also see next to Jane. So it's a set of 6 small boxes, and each box contains some props for a scene in the movie. And each box is unpacked, and as you unpack the props, the plot of the scene is revealed. First of all, there's a movie trailer box, though, which kind of sets the scene and gives the context for the movie, and it draws them in like all good movie trailers. Then you've got scene 1, Palm Sunday, scene 2, the Last Supper, scene 3, in the garden, scene 4, the trial and crucifixion, and scene 5, the resurrection. And there's a rhythm and a pattern to unpacking each box, which becomes a kind of a nice repetitive kind of process for the children that they get familiar with. So the first thing they'll do in each box is take out the movie set map. And this is a map of their journey through the scenes of the movie. So you can see scene 1, Palm Sunday, which takes place on a dusty road just outside Jerusalem. Scene 2, the Last Supper, the dining room of a house in Jerusalem, etc. And they'll take that out, and each time they open a new box, they'll be able to plot where they are in the movie. Then they'll have a look at the cast list for that scene. So it tells the characters that are involved in that scene. Then they'll take out the props and handle them. So the whole idea of this is that the children are holding the props and passing them around and looking at them. They're wondering about them. And you're posing 2 questions. What is this? And why is this here? What's its connection with the Easter story? Why is it here? And so there's lots of discussion at that point and response and wondering and asking questions. And it's their turn to recall what they know about the Easter story. The next thing that happens is the reading of the script. So they know who's in the story, this scene, they know the characters, they've got the props. Next, you're going to read the script. And so there's a moment where there's a clapperboard in each box. And so there'll be you can pick a child to say lights, camera, action. They'll snap the clapperboard, and then they listen to the script being read, or they might even begin to act it out a little bit. And then at the end of that script reading, there's a cut moment, or it's a wrap, because remember the script kind of leads them into imagining the scene, on the movie set of the scene being filmed. The next thing they do is they each have a little emotions card, an emoji card, so they track their emotions. How did you feel during that scene? What what emotions were bubbling up for you? The next thing they do is they'll each have a little hollow egg. This will all become clear in a moment when we unpack the boxes. They each have a little hollow egg, and they'll write a message to one of the characters in the scene. So it might be, what would you say to Jesus in this scene? Or what might you say to the religious leaders in this scene? So they're kind of interacting with it personally, thinking about their own responses. The next thing they do is there's a wonder moment. So there's an activity, there's a wonder moment question to respond to, and then there's an activity which helps them to sort of consolidate their learning and kind of apply it to their own lives. Some of you all know that, that the RE curriculum involves children learning about religion and learning from religion. And this is their moment when they're learning from it. They're thinking about a concept that's arisen in that scene and how could I apply it to my own life. They'll also be given a mini egg box. It's their own mini Easter in a box, which they'll collect all their activity items in and their hollow egg to take home as their own Easter in a box to share with, perhaps with people at home, to talk about what they've been learning. Okay. Okay, so that's the background to Easter in a box, the kind of the summary, if you like. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Jane, and she is going to actually demonstrate to you the unpacking of a couple of boxes. Over to you, Jane.
I've got the boxes here, and if you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is sounding a bit epic, it's really not. It is so simple, this resource. So I'd start with, we've got this wonderful user guide, okay? And it's, you know, it's all, you don't have to like hold it, reading it like this, but it's you know, it's nicely written, nicely scripted, so that you can sort of use it as your reference tool, really. So with my introduction, so this is basically if I turned up in a school, set it up like this, and maybe I've got a few volunteers, but we'll go with that later and go into more detail. But if I was there with a group of children, I'd say, hi, my name is, and say my name, and I'm from whatever church I'm from. And today I brought something very special to show you. It's called Easter in a Box, the movie. And it's going to help us to unpack the Easter story together. And I'm going to invite you to imagine that you're on a film set watching Easter the movie being filmed. And for each scene in the movie, we're going to find out who the characters were, unpack the props, and sort of watch the scene, really. Imagine the scene being filmed. And so we're going to learn a lot from this story, whether we're a Christian or not. And so shall we get started? Here we go. Hopefully they'll say yes. And here we go. So we've got the movie trailer box is number one. And just as Liz said, it's got a really, really straightforward rhythm. So the first bit, you don't really need the script so much, because you've got, you look at a map and you go, okay, so when we're doing this movie as we go along, we're going to be in different scenes. And so we're just at the movie trailer. And so you go, okay, well, what is a movie trailer? Because we're not on one of the scenes yet. What are we on? So see if they know what a movie trailer is. Hopefully they'll say something like, you know, it hooks you in, it gets you excited about watching the rest of the movie. And you say, yeah, this is the movie trailer box. It's going to hook us in to watch Easter, the movie. So yeah, we've got our movie set map that we're going to be looking at as we go through. And then we've got some props. And so you just get the props out. And like we said before, there's two questions. What is this? Why is it here? So we've got, see what they say. Hopefully they'll say a cross rather than an X or something. We've got a world, little globe. If you've done Christmas in a box, there's a few transferable objects here. So we were trying to be a little bit savvy on what we had in both boxes. So a nice globe there. So hopefully they'll say some nice fun things about that. There's a Wonder Moment bag. And again, if you've done Christmas in a box, there's some sort of overlap here. So they don't need the Wonder Moment bag yet. There is a card. So we can say, okay, what is this and why is it here? So you're trying to link as things come out, and they can touch these, they can hold it. Hopefully you'll probably, you know, have a small group of children around with you, and then they can be holding these different things. I'm just getting them out in no particular order and just be saying, okay, what is this? Why is it here? It's a bandage, great bandage. See if they can get them to say that. Heals, forgives, welcomes. That's interesting. What on earth is that in our box for? So we've got that, we've got that. That's some strips of paper, that's for later. And we've got some felt tip pens. Got this, okay. Hopefully they know what that is. Why is that in there? And then you've got some really nice felt hearts. Okay, I wonder why that's in there. All right. And so what is it? Why is it in here? Got another envelope here. Anyone want to open it? And these are all around the table now. You've got different children holding different bits. Okay, this looks interesting. Okay, Easter card. Hopefully they'll say that. Here's risen. So that's interesting. And then we've got one last thing in the box. What's this? Who on earth are these people? A bit shiny. Sorry, I've got this light shining right on the screen here. So yeah, hopefully they've got some ideas about that. And this isn't where you fill it all in. This is where you let them have that dialogue with you. What is it? Why do you think it's here? And then you go for reading the script. Again, I've got this here. And what's really nice about the clapperboard thing is that you can get them really quiet. So you can say, look, we are going to imagine we're watching this bit of the film now, right? So we're going to film like the movie trailer bit, right? So I want one of you to go lights, camera, action. They'll all want to do that, okay? So lights, camera, action, and then we're going to be really quiet. And I'm going to read the script. So here we go. And they'll have different bits of this held up. So here we go. Lights, camera, action, really quiet. So got the Christmas card. From the makers of The Christmas Story, now comes Easter the movie. The story continues as baby Jesus has grown up and is telling everyone about God's love for the world and all the people. He's been busy making a lot of people's lives better, healing the sick, forgiving people who've messed up, and welcoming everyone. God has been saying that although the world is a messy place, although the world is a messy place and people's lives can be messy too, God loves the world and everyone in the world and has a plan to make everything good again. But some of the local religious leaders hate Jesus. He hangs out with all the wrong people and they're jealous that so many people love and admire him. They think Jesus is lying when he says he is God's special savior. They want to get rid of Jesus, but will their plan succeed? Easter, the movie, will take you on a roller coaster journey. There will be drama, there will be adventure, there will be pain and sadness. But like all great superhero movies, good wins in the end. And then you could get someone to go, right, it's a wrap. Good, right, well, that was the movie trailer. Wow. That was the movie trailer. And we've got our movie trailer map. We've got, also we've got in here somewhere, we've got all of these to give out. So I'd give every child one of these, a little emoji sheet. And my first sort of question really would be, okay, how have you felt watching the movie trailer? Okay, this is going to help track our feelings. I'd give every single one of them one of these as well, a little egg box, and the emoji sheet fits in there. I've got this little egg, which is going to help with our Wonder Moment stuff. So we've got all of that out. And then I'd say, right, okay, well, how have you felt? And they might want to pick one of the little feelings they felt. And then your Wonder Moment is going to be, with my Wonder Moment stuff, I've got in here the Wonder Moment. All right, I've got some little strips of paper and there's a question for us with this bit. It says, at the beginning of the movie, the religious leaders are out to get Jesus because he's so popular and loved by all the people. I wonder what advice you would give to Jesus. And so it's just trying to chime in with their own lives and what they're thinking, what they're feeling. And so they write their own little message to Jesus on this bit of paper and then roll it up and stick it in their egg, which niftily fits in their own little egg box. And we've added some extra prompt questions this year. Thanks to our Guernsey, Jersey friends, some of those people came up with some extra prompt questions. So the extra prompt question for this is, what advice would you give to someone who is being bullied because they are popular, just to help them connect it in with their own lives? So that's the advice for Jesus or for someone who's being bullied. Wrap it up, stick it in there. And what is lovely about this Easter in a box, mini box that they get given, is that they can then, for ones who do that super quick, there's a bit of a holding device here where they can colour and make it look all Eastery or spring-like, whatever they want to make it look like. And it's a device where you can then have an extra bit of dialogue and conversation with them, which is really nice. All right. So that's where all the gold dust happens, isn't it? Where you're chatting to them and working things out. So I think I'm done. Apart from, there's an extra bit of blurb on here that when they're colouring this in their egg box, you can say things like, you know, Christians believe actually the events in all of this, Easter in a Box, a movie, actually happened, and it's actually true. So we actually think it happened as Christians, and but you know, even if we're not Christians, we can all learn from this story. So Liz, I think I'm done on that one.
Great, thanks, Jane. Good unpacking. While Jane sorts out her table and gets everything back up again. So there's this that kind of little spiel at the end there, that last bit of script while they're just colouring their box and all the rest of it is, we feel it's quite important to make sure that all the children feel included. They may come from a Christian home, most of them won't do, but just to reassure them that it's not about, for us, it's the events are true, but for all of us, we can learn things from the story so that everyone feels bought in and included. So you can begin to feel this kind of rhythm and pattern. It does become more familiar as you unpack each box. Look at the map, look at the cast list, handle the props, read the script. Then it's their responses, tracking their emotions, asking one of the characters a question or telling them something, and for their wonder moment activity, and then there's their actual activity. So this is the kind of pattern and the rhythm to unpacking each of the boxes. So I think Jane's going to do scene 1 now.
Great, so we've got scene 1, here it is, and it's got a nice little logo on there. And yeah, okay, here we go. So we've got the movie set maps. You say, okay, well, who wants to hold this? Where are we at? Where's scene 1? Get one of them to read it. A dusty road just outside Jerusalem. Okay, we've got a cast list. Who wants to read that? A large crowd of people of all ages, Jesus's friends, Jesus and religious leaders. Okay, so that's our cast list. Hopefully they'll understand what cast list is. You can explain if you want. And then you've got a wonder moment bag. We'll say we're putting that aside for now. And then again, it's what is this? Why is it here? See what they know. Okay. And we've got a few different things here. What is it? Why is it here? We've got some nice, nothing standing up. They're all quite nice chunky items. We've got some little speech bubbles here that say, Hosanna, who is this man? And blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. All right, so we've got 3 little speech bubbles. Why is that in there? Okay, we've got a nice palm branch, and we've got, oh, another one saying Hosanna. We've got Jerusalem, little sign, that's nice. We've got, what else have we got? Another little clapperboard. I've got this, which actually, if you see it in sort of real life, is a nice cloak. Okay, and you say, okay, well, what is it? Why is it in here? Allow the dialogue. Look, we've seen these people before. Who was that? All right. And so that's pretty much that. And then, and again, that's their opportunity to recall what they know of this story, what's going on, why are all these props in here? And then you go, right, are you ready? We're going to read the script. Remember that it needs to be totally quiet when the filming begins, okay? So choose a child to say, lights, camera, action, and then you start reading the script. So here we go, Jerusalem sign. The scene opens on a dusty road just outside Jerusalem. There are people everywhere. They've come to the city for the Passover festival. People shout and wave to each other across the road. They haven't seen each other since last year's Passover. There is an air of excitement. Suddenly we hear cheering and shouting. People are breaking branches off the palm trees from the edge of the road and waving them. Someone is coming along the road. It must be someone important. A lot of people are looking to see who it is. Enter stage right, a man riding on a young donkey, emerging from amongst the crowds, waving and smiling. It's Jesus. The people are shouting, Hosanna, and blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And who is this man? People are taking off their cloaks and laying them down on the road in front of Jesus. They're treating him like a king. Enter stage left. The religious leaders, the ones who hate Jesus, they look angry. One of them mutters crossly, there is nothing that can be done. Everyone in the world is following Jesus. Get one of them to say, it's a wrap. Wow, I wonder how you felt watching that scene. So have a little look at your emoji sheet And with a partner, maybe pick one or two of the emotions that you felt watching that scene. And then you can let them have a little chat about that. And then you move on to your little wonder moment. So the wonder moment in here, wonder moment question is, okay, the religious leaders are very jealous of Jesus. I wonder what you would want to say to them in this scene. What would you want to say to these religious leaders who are very jealous? Write a message on your strip of paper, roll it up, stick it in your egg. And another prompt question is, what would you say to someone who is being mean to a good person? What would you say to someone who's being mean to a good person? Roll it up, stick it in your little egg. And again, if some people finish that super duper fast, you carry on talking. You've got a nice little box that'll take them ages decorating it, making it look really nice. And they will love this idea that they are gathering stuff. And then you've got an activity in the Wonder Moment bag. There's a little activity here as well, which is, there's some little tiny, well, you could go with different if you want. We've just gone with a few. We'd probably give them 3 little bits of wooden bunting. And I've got some really nice thin twine there that they can make their own bit of bunting and colour it in. And then it says the crowds were so happy to see Jesus coming into Jerusalem. What or who makes you happy? What makes you cheer? And then they could draw it on there. They could, if you had a bigger one, you could write it, or they could just colour it in and make it look joyful. And again, it's a time to have a deeper discussion about this scene, about what makes us joyful, and sort of connecting it to their lives. So, job done.
Great, thanks, Jane. So you can probably begin to imagine, if you're imagining this happening in school, you're sitting perhaps with a group of children around a table. You can imagine that as that script is being read, and because it's written as kind of directions, as stage directions and things, you can imagine the children, you know, the child who's holding the cloak, you know, when it says they were throwing their cloaks down, you know, it lends itself quite well to a little bit of drama, a little bit of them. You know, when they hear sort of acting things out, when they hear, you know, the child who's holding the religious leaders photo, the religious leaders were angry, you know, you can imagine them getting quite involved. And we didn't anticipate that when we wrote this, but last year we had loads of feedback saying, oh, the children were kind of almost acting it out. And that's lovely, isn't it? Because they're even more immersed in it than they would be if they were just listening. So that's a possibility. It may not happen, or you may not want that to happen. You may prefer them to just sit quite still around the table, but it really will depend on the children and the group and what you prefer, but it does lend itself well to that. Okay, I think Jane is going to just show us that, so you could see that the movie trailer box is slightly different to all the others, but now you've seen one of the scenes unpacked, and all the other scenes are unpacked in a similar way with the same rhythm. So I think Jane's going to quickly just show you the things that are inside those boxes now. Can you hear me, Jane, or have you lost us?
Through, like we did for the last one, I'm just going to show you the objects, all right? So I think you're probably getting the rhythm. But we went for stuff that is looking quite decent, all right? So we tried to get stuff that was good. So we've got that again, that and that in there, your cast list, another little wonder moment. We've got a nice wooden cup. We've got some grapes. We've got another one of those. We've got a nice wooden plate. We've got, that is for, oh, hang on. That is some pita bread. Okay. We've got a nice sort of table runner, a Hessian table runner that you can sort of set out this scene a little bit. And again, you're saying, what is this? Why is it here? I've got wrapped up a really nice candle that smells gorgeous. So that's good. And then I've got another photo of these religious leaders. So that's all my objects. And in the Wonder Moment bag, where are we? Here we go. So again, you'll have some, what you do before you get to that is do your emojis. How have you felt watching this scene? Get them to talk about that. And then there is a little question. So the question with this one for them to do the strip of paper and put it in the egg is Jesus's friends are worried. They don't want Jesus to go away, and they don't understand what he's saying about his body and blood. I wonder what you would say to Jesus's friends in this scene. Write a message to them on their strip of paper, stick it in your egg. And then another prompt question is, what would you say to your friend if they were worried that someone they love was going away? Okay, so that's time again to reflect, think, and then where has it gone? Here it is. We've got a wonder moment activity. So we've got these little wooden key rings, and the script says, Jesus gave his friends a way to remember him when they ate bread and they drank wine together. What special events or moments or people do you like to remember? So trying to chime in with their lives. And so they can write or draw a special memory or special person, or maybe a special pet that they want to remember on their key ring. And it all fits in the egg box and closes up. So, and again, all of these little activities are just trying to connect with their lives, trying to see what can we learn from this story. And yeah, just trying to get them to dialogue more with you. Okay, brilliant.
Great. One of the challenges of us demonstrating it like this to you is that we don't have the children there, but you know, an awful lot of the time that the goal of this resource is that an awful lot of the time that you're spending hosting it is the children having their chance to respond, reflect, ask questions, etc. So it's less of a kind of teaching activity, more of a kind of immersive, interactive activity, really. Though, of course, you will be responding to some of their questions and things like that too. So I think Jane's going to show us the next box now.
Okay, trying to get quicker now, really, because I think you're probably getting the gist of it. Scene 3, and we're on, what are we on with scene 3? We're on in the garden, a quiet garden outside the city. Got the cast list, you've got an olive branch, you've got a sort of wall, some nice chunky trees, chunky trees, another chunky tree, chunky trees, and they love it. They're just, even if they're in year 6, they like, you know, setting it all up. We've got an angel, we've got some lovely wooden praying hands, gone for stuff that's tactile. I want to touch it all. I've got sort of tactile stuff going on, love touching things. So there we go, look, there's some bit of stuff. We've got a nice sign, Garden of Gethsemane. We've got rocks, lots of little rocks that they can set up. We've got there's a few more rocks, I won't get them out. We've got the thing there, and then I've got this wrapped up to try and keep it safe because it has got a bit of glass, a little lantern, so you can stick that as well. And then just so you know what the, obviously then go and do the emoji sheet, and then the question for this one, okay, is, I wonder what you would say to Jesus's friends who fell asleep. Even though Jesus was very scared and asked them to keep watch, write a message to them on a strip of paper and put it in your egg. And then the prompt question is, what would you like your friends to do for you if you felt scared? What would you say to them if they let you down in a difficult moment? All right, so trying to engage, isn't it? Really trying to engage. And then the wonder moment, little activity in here, is we've got some, I don't know whether you saw these in all of our lockdowns that we've had, people collecting these little pocket hugs, really quite cute. And they were sending them to people in the post so that they knew, you know, they wanted to say I'm close to you, even though I'm not close to you in person. So we've got a whole load of little circular discs and saying, okay, when have you ever felt scared or worried? What helps when we feel like this? Think of someone who might feel scared or worried at the moment. Maybe write their name on here or draw their face. And then you could maybe write pocket hug or something on the back, and then you could give it to them next time that you see them. So it's a little gift for them. And again, that fits in our egg box. Okay, brilliant.
Great, thanks Jane. While she just gets the next box ready, you can kind of tell, I'm sure, most of you probably are used to going in and working with children in school. It's in terms of kind of age groups, it's just about differentiating the way that you speak. You know, if you're speaking to year 3s, it's going to be quite different to year 6s. And those prompt questions might be particularly useful for the younger children if you're doing it with year 3s or year 4s, just so that they can understand. I mean, I think they're useful for any age, but it's just about simplifying your language and so on if you're with slightly younger children. Okay, so you can, hopefully you're all getting familiar now with the rhythm and the pattern. It's look at the map, look at the cast list, pass the props around, respond and ask questions to those, and then read the script. And then it's the emojis, wonder moment, and the activity. So that's the kind of rhythm each time.
Okay, here we go. We're nearly there. We're coming into land-ish. 2 more to go. We've got scene 4. So again, cast list, having that at the top really helps. The movie map, cast list. So that's all cool. I've got, again, what is it? Why is it here? Why are these props here? Little hammer. You'll notice a few things that are similar from Christmas in a Box, Crown of Thorns, red robe, sponge on a stick. Okay, we've got a cross. We've got some of these lovely speech bubbles. You've said it yourself, crucify him. And what's that last one? Are you really a king? And we've got a wooden sword. We've got some fairly rustic-ish looking nails. What we found is the children are so forgiving with scale and whatever. They're just like, their imaginations are 10,000 times better than ours. The clapperboard and a scene of quite a angry sort of looking mob. So that's that. And then again, once you've done all of that and you've read the script, then in terms of the emotions, how are you feeling? So how are they feeling? Get the emoji sheet out. And then the question for this to write on the little strip of paper is, here we go, let's check I've got the right one. Yeah, I want, right, so it says, Jesus has been betrayed by his friends, beaten up and killed. It looks like the religious leader's plan has worked. I wonder what you would say to Jesus in this scene. Write a message to him, stick it in your egg. And then the prompt question is, what would you say to someone who was really suffering badly? Okay, so what would you say to them? And then what we've got here is our wonder moment activity. They all absolutely love this. I don't know whether you've ever done these before. I expect most people have black cards. You've got these little scratch things and you scratch and it creates the most amazing, I don't know if you can see that, it's all like colourful, it's all rainbow colours. Obviously I'm just doing scribbles, but the idea is, although it was an incredibly sad day, Christians call the day Jesus was killed Good Friday. This is because sometimes good things come out of sad things. Take a scratch card, even though it's black on top, underneath are some beautiful colours. Make a pattern, write your name on it, draw a rainbow to remind you that even when things are hard, good things will come again. And then that is a beautiful time to just have a really nice discussion with them about that. Obviously, it's quite deep stuff, isn't it? Touching on some really deep things. So, yeah, that's all cool. Good.
Great, thanks Jane. We're almost there. We're just going to show you what's in the last box before we move on to some of those other organisational questions, which some of you are asking really great questions in the chat. So we'll explain a bit more about those in a moment. So just a quick word about the script, really. You can see Jane's kind of using the script, but she's kind of got a bit familiar with it so that she's able to kind of host the session in a way that flows and is fluent without literally standing reading the script. However, the script has been carefully written and to make sure that we're using sort of appropriate language and that kind of thing. So we would really encourage you to use the script, but equally make it your own, use your own tone and be yourself with it. Okay, last box.
Okay, last one. We literally are coming into land. Number, well, it's scene 5. It's our last box. Cast list, the map, and again, it's the resurrection, Garden of Tombs. And then this is all the stuff in it. So here we go. Stuff in our box. We've got some nice chunky trees again. We've got a whole load of nice, I don't know why that one's not standing up. There we go. We've got a whole load of nice rocks. So they can create a little bit of a scene, a whole load of little rocks. I've got a nice picture in here. Again, what is this? Why is it here? Their chance to recall what they know of the story. I've got a box here. Again, this is a Christmas in a box little resource that you can get out again. So it's some myrrh. Okay, that's in there. We've got a little wooden angel. Oops, there we go. And then I've got some strips of linen, okay, like muslin, and another little stone, clapperboard, and that's it, I think. So that's all cool. And what we've got going on with this one, let me read you the question. So what we've got going on with this one is Jesus has, obviously you do the emojis as well, don't you, your emoji sheet, but it says, Jesus has risen from the dead. I wonder what you would say to Jesus in this scene. Write a message to him on a strip of paper, put it in your egg. And then the other bit that we've said is for the prompt is, you might have a question for Jesus, all right, about what he's been through. Or maybe you just want to express your amazement or your joy about the scenario. Yeah, that's all cool. And then we've got our little eggs in here. This is in the Wonder Moment bag. We've got some really lovely little wooden eggs. And it says the Easter story, and we've got some nice little bits of twine in there that they can make a sort of spring Easter decoration. Obviously, not all of them celebrate Easter, but it's just trying to remember the story through this. It's not trying to get them to celebrate with you. The Easter story is all about hope, that no matter what difficult things we go through, God understands, because God's Son went through death. And also the hope that in the end, life wins. What are your hopes for the future? Draw or write them on a wooden egg, or just think about the hopes as you decorate it, your hopes. And then put your egg in your egg box. And yeah, you could then ask more questions about what did you enjoy most about Easter in a Box, the movie. They've got a whole collection of things in there. What's the main thing you learnt? And then we've also got one final thing in that box. It's an envelope with their own mini Easter in a Box map. So they get one of those, it folds up once, twice, and it niftily is then the same size as the emoji sheet. So it fits in the little egg box. And again, that's really helpful for them going home, just to go, what on earth is this jumble of stuff I've got in my egg box, if they can't remember. All right, so hopefully it's helping to spill out the learning. So yeah, and then we have had different people who've ran with this. I did it on a little pilot last year, where you gave out some nice way of ending, bring the whole class together. We'll talk about how you will organize it all, but you could have some popcorn together, depending on your budget. If you've only got one class you're doing it with, you could then give them a little chocolate egg that goes in there to take home, which is a really nice thing to do. So yeah, all cool. That's it, Liz.
Amazing. Thanks, Jane. That's awesome. So hopefully that's given you a really good idea of the content of the boxes and how we unpack them, etc. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen and show you, just give me a moment, the actual resource that we have available for you on our website, which Jane put the link up for a bit earlier. So this is the user guide. Then we will take questions, I promise, and talk about practicalities too. So this is the user guide, and it's free and downloadable from the website, and it basically tells you all about, what curriculum areas are covered. This is quite helpful information if you're speaking to school. It explains the resource, plus it's also got that little introductory script there that you could use, and then it's got each box unpacked, really, in the sense of the script, what to do in what order, etc., etc., etc. So it's got that for each of the boxes. So that is the user guide. Just going to hide these controls so I can see what I'm doing. Also on the website to download are all the kind of visual things that you've seen Jane unpack. So the movie set map is there. The cast lists are there for each scene for you to just download and print off. There's also all the stickers and labels that you would need. So this is you can probably see the boxes are tied together like almost like a gift, like as if they're one big Easter in a box with a red ribbon, and then there's a label there for you to print off and put onto the boxes. A sticker for you to put on the side if you want to. There's the little cards to go in the front of the drawers, the boxes, the Wonder Moment cards, the photographs that you'll need for the different scenes as well are there. And then also the emoji cards for you to print off and cut up for each child. So that's all there. There's also a resource list which tells you every single item that you need for every box. And you'll see on the resource list that some of them have a blue dot next to them. That means they're available to download from our website. And some of them have a red dot, which means they're consumables. They're going to get used up eventually. So you'll need to bear costs in mind in terms of if you're going to do this with 2 classes, you're going to need, you're going to need an ed box for each child. You're going to need more felt pens, etc., more paper strips and so on. So those are consumables. And then also what we've done is this has not been designed in any way. It's just our Excel sheet, which shows you links to all the different places where we bought stuff for the Easter boxes last year. So bearing in mind that it was a lockdown scenario, so we didn't have the luxury of asking around at church whether anyone had got various items or borrowing things, etc. It just all had to be ordered online, really. So we have the links there for everything that we ordered. Some of them might have expired now, but we just thought for some of you that will speed up the process of ordering for you, if that's helpful. So there's that as well. So let me just get my controls back. There we go. Okay, so that's the resource that's available from our website. And Jane is going to talk a bit now about some other practical things, and then we'll take questions.
Yeah, in terms of the cost, and I'm only going to tell you the cost of when I was last year just pressing click, 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 and I didn't have anyone to go, you couldn't even go to people's houses, could you? You couldn't even get your church together to say, right, who's got a wooden cup and all of that. Like, it was all basically me pressing click. So to put all of those resources that I've shown you this morning is about £250 to put all that together. But again, yeah, if you sent out a message, who's got a wooden cup, who's got a whatever, who's got whatever, then yeah, and there might be other alternatives you find. All right. Our heart was trying to create something that was timeless. So I've literally got to do nothing this year to that resource. I think it will also probably last about 10 years. It's not video based. It's not something that's going to date. And we found that churches have generally gone, actually, I think we could fund that, or they've put the little message out, or they've shown the video to their congregation and people have gone, yeah, this is worth it, doing something really nice. And then churches have also maybe used it with their kids groups as well, so it's got a good transferability, and it's got quite an ageless sort of thing going on with it. In terms of every child, in terms of the consumables, again, you could do something different, but if you followed exactly what we did, then it's about £2 a child, and that includes a chocolate egg. And our heart, again, because we're Bristol Schools Connection, our heart was generally we work with less resourced churches, trying to help them to engage with 1 or 2 schools max. So we're generally looking at places that are only engaging with, trying to keep it on a small scale and doing something special with 1 class or 2 classes. So that was what was going on in our heart. We weren't generally thinking this is going to be used and someone's going to be paying for 10 classes. So yeah, that's the background of it. In terms of supervision and how you do it and how you organize it, it's been done in all sorts of ways. Okay, so some people have done it at lunchtime with a small group, and they've gone in like every week for a few weeks leading up to Christmas. People have done it in after school clubs where they've got, then they have children come in, they might have done 2 boxes one week, 2 boxes another week. People have gone in and done a whole RE morning. and done all 6 boxes. Really, you need, if you're going to do it all in one go, you need a whole morning and let the children go out for their normal break. And you might think, is the school really going to give us a whole morning? Yes, they will, because it's such a good resource that ticks everything for that year group to do for Easter. So they're like, yeah, this is brilliant, especially if you show them the material and so on. Some people have gone in and said, right, okay, well, maybe we'll do an hour and a bit one week, and then we'll go in the following week and do another, like do 3 boxes and then do another 3 boxes. Generally, each box, to not rush it, is sort of 25 minutes, really, a box, 25 minutes. It's nice to not rush it, really. Yeah, so that's that. I'm just trying to think, if you go in and do it with a whole class, it's best really to take a team and to do the movie trailer box maybe all together, all sat round if you can, or maybe you could get a hall where you could all sit them round, and then you could have different stations for the 5 other scenes. If you had 5 volunteers, then they can be on a little table and you can split the class into 5, and then the children can rotate round. We found if they've watched something or read something beforehand, that's really helpful in terms of understanding the Easter story. So they've got some background knowledge of it. And then it then means if they don't go round in actual order, let's say they started with scene 4 and then went that way round, because only one group would go in the right order, that they're generally very forgiving. They're looking at their map and they think, oh, I know the story and I'm just visiting different scenes on a movie map. So that has worked well. I think I've probably said enough there, Liz.
I'm just thinking one other thing, and when Jane was saying it's quite nice, I mean, I think for me, the ideal is what Jane described when she said, everyone's together for the movie trailer box, then they split into smaller groups. But then a good way of doing it is they do scenes 1, 2, 3, and 4 in those small groups, but then maybe bring them all back together for scene 5, so that they're at least doing the beginning and the end in the right order, if you see what I mean. It's quite nice to have everyone together for that last book. So that's another option.
Yeah, I think there's probably other stuff that we haven't seen yet as well and haven't worked out. So if you come up with something, we're pretty humble with this resource, we hope. So if you've come up with something better or some other thing, then let us know. We'd love to know how it's being used, really. It'd be fantastic. Yeah.
This is that moment then for any, we had a couple of great questions in the chat. One was from Trudy, and we've covered that now, I think, in terms of how long it takes. And then in terms of numbers of children, hopefully we've covered that. But does anyone have any further questions or ideas? Has any ideas sprung to mind for you about how you might apply this in your context? Do just feel free to unmute and speak up if you do. Any questions or ideas? Don't be shy.
Hi, this is Shirley from Bristol. Can I just say, I think it's the most beautiful resource.
Oh, thanks, Shirley.
I can't wait to touch it.
That's a great response, and that's generally last year was the response of the children. They're just so excited as you take the box out and get the things out, that they just get to pass these lovely things around. It's exciting for them.
I was a little bit concerned with kind of how distressing the actual crucifixion part of the story is, but I think you kind of like seem to have managed that so sensitively.
Yeah. I think using the script for that particular part is a really good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, for all of it really, but particularly that. And yes, we hope so. We hope that's what's happened, that it's being told it's being told truthfully, but in a way that enables them to. And of course, don't forget, they've got, for those children who are particularly emotionally sensitive, they've got that slight distance. You can remind them, if you were watching this being filmed, imagine you're in Hollywood and it just helps them slightly distance a little bit. They're not.
I think that's a really, really clever way of doing it. Well done. I think it's fabulous.
We're looking forward to supporting you guys to do this. Anyone else? Sue?
No, brilliant resource. I would love to get involved with it. Oh, sorry about the phone going off. Pre-COVID, I had a team of 7 volunteers going in to do assemblies. At the moment, because they're all older, they still don't want to go into school, so it's just me. What kind of feasibility is there of doing it on your own? Okay at communicating with children in small groups, but have you had much feedback of people who've done it on their own? Does the teacher generally sit in on a small group if you've got a small group? And also another thing, because there are a lot of people here from Bristol who might be in the same position as me, are really keen to go into their school, is there some kind of network that we could form so that I could lend my help to someone else who wants to go into their school, and they could lend their help to me who wants to go into my local school? Is there some kind of link up?
Lovely. Shall I take the volunteer bit and you talk about the person bit, Jane, the kind of leading bit? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
So yeah, love that, Sue. And we very much still already do that. We try to supplement volunteers here and there where they're needed. So there absolutely is potential. Just remind me where you are, Sue.
I'm in Filton, so it would be Filton Avenue Primary School.
Yeah.
I'd happily come and help you in Filton because I live in Frenchay.
Oh, brilliant, Shirley.
And Shirley is an ex
good teamwork.
So, yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. Where are you, Shirley?
Frenchay.
Frenchay, okay, yeah. I'll come and help you if you need me.
This is great.
Thank you.
This is gold dust. So there we go. So we've got one, but I'm absolutely sure we could probably find a couple more, Sue, as well. And it might even be that Jane or I can come and support too. So yeah, we'll absolutely. I've got your email, so I'll definitely be in touch with you to talk about that. Is that okay?
Yes.
In terms of you going in, yeah, so hopefully you've got your volunteers now, so the other thing isn't so much of an issue. But do you want to say anything about that, Jane?
Yeah, I mean, last year was a funny old year, wasn't it? So quite a lot of people in different parts of the country did run this on their own. So yeah, it was interesting because, you know, some people did. There was one vicar that we know that just did it at the front of the class, and the children weren't even allowed to touch the stuff, you know, and so it was like they're not even allowed to touch anything. So she just helped. She's quite charismatic, so she's sort of, you know, in her nature and her character, so she just held everything up. And you know, so it is possible. It's not ideal. It's not what we wrote it for. We wanted them to all touch it, but it is possible, and people have carried it off. I'm not sure I'm the whole class.
I add something there just because of something we've done in the past, just sort of on that same line. If you do it just on your own at the front, what we've then done is had the box that's then gone around each class during the course of the week. Yeah. So even though the kids obviously can't all touch it, all, you know, 180 children can't touch it on that Monday, for example, it then makes its way around the classes, and each class that had a table set up so that the items could be put on that table. The children could then investigate it during the course of the day, and then it moved on to the next class. So that's quite a helpful one. If it's just you going in, that worked quite well. That's
a lovely
idea. How did you do that, Kate, in terms of delivering it? And did you
so it was somebody delivering it. It was the head delivering it in the morning, so it wasn't a movie like this one. It was a similar sort of idea, I suppose, with something else. So they delivered it on a Monday morning in collective worship. So it was obviously during that term. So that's the only thing is that build up each term, each week. So you'd need like a good sort of selection of time to do that in. In classes, we as a school, we always stay in and do that. So I think if you went into classes and said, actually, we'd really like teachers to stay and support, teachers would be more than happy to do that. So yeah, just sort of say what you need really, and they'll hopefully join if that helps.
Thanks, Kate, that's great. I dropped out there for a minute, sorry. I hope I didn't miss too much. Anyone else, any further questions or thoughts, ideas?
Just following on from that comment about teachers, one of the real joys of doing Christmas in the Box was seeing the sheer joy that the class teacher had, and also, you know, from my kind of old deputy head hat on, the professional development that teachers were getting, because I feel that I'd be a better teacher of this now, having seen this resource. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So there's a professional development aspect, and I'm sure all teachers would be you know, thrilled to have that professional development from using such lovely resources.
Yeah,
you know,
thanks,
so it's, you know, it's a win-win for teachers, isn't it?
we hope so. Yeah, that's the idea.
I think it's somebody different delivering something in a different way sometimes is refreshing. So for the children and for teachers, like you said, that professional development for us as teachers, but equally it's refreshing for everybody, isn't it? It's a different voice saying it in a different way, and that's really, really powerful.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Sally.
I just love it. We did Christmas in a Box just before, and it was just, I still remember those little faces and that little, it was heaven. Just in terms of collecting this resource now, so we're all set up to do it in Willow Park, which is really exciting.
Great.
So do I need to now really put my creative resourcing hat on and go to the website and start from scratch and get going and collect this stuff? There's not a base like the 6 boxes. It's just like, go to the beginning, get your 250 and go for it.
Yeah, Jane, can you, yes, that's basically the what you'll need to do.
So when you arrived at Hotwells with it all there, I was thinking, oh, we could just buy that for 250, but no, we need to do it. We need to do the work. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It didn't take too long. I mean, Jane did the amazing job on all the ordering, and it was, I think it was about, from when you're ordering, it's about 2 weeks. So you've got plenty of time.
Great.
You know,
great.
2 weeks of delivery of everything arriving.
Of stuff. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
lovely. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Sorry, just trying to get straight in my head the resourcing. The Christmas in a Box, are those boxes, the actual physical boxes, reusable? Can we kind of take the labels off, or is it all completely like, because we've got a set that we used?
Yeah.
Do you see what you mean?
Yeah, of course, reuse. Yeah.
So can you just cut? I mean, I don't want to spoil our Christmas in the Box because we want to use it again, but I'm trying to think of the best way to resource it.
Shirley, I think we're providing you with a set.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Wow. There's Christmas.
Quickly say that, and then we'll move on. Otherwise, jealous, Shirley.
Yeah, just to explain, we have connections around the city with certain churches, generally more in deprived areas that we do this for. But I'm really sorry that we don't have a production line for everybody.
Well, if I got the box, then I could share it with people, couldn't I?
Yeah.
That would work.
There's quite a bit of that happening around the city as well, and that might be relevant to some of you who are in different parts of the country as well. Get a box together and then organise with a few different churches taking it into a few different schools, as long as your dates don't clash. We do that here in Bristol a lot. So we've produced a few boxes, and then a number of different churches use them.
Oh, great! I'm glad I asked the question because I was about to go on to Amazon.
Right. And then of course you can share the cost as well between a few different churches. Yeah. Any other questions?
Can I just push? I've used a lot of fishy music, and what came to mind that I've used in Easter is that beautiful song, "Bad things won't last, nothing lasts forever. Good things will come and things will get better." And I just suddenly thought it might be an amazing song to put between the crucifixion box and the resurrection box, even just as you're gathering them, even if they don't all sing it or you don't feel confident doing that. It's an amazing song that allows all the children of every faith to kind of engage with that truth of bad things don't last, nothing lasts forever. It's beautiful, and it's you can download it, but it just is a kind of universal Easter song. That's the only way I can describe it.
That sounds absolutely lovely, Sally. Are you able to just type the title of that into the chat so people can just copy it if they want to have a look for it, in case people don't know that song? It'd be a nice song to play perhaps while they're doing their scratch cards, when they're making their scratch cards with the the black cards that the rainbow colors. Might be a nice thing to do then. Trudy, thanks for your question in the chat. So Jane's answered it. So on that Excel sheet that's on our website, it's got the link to the sets of boxes. Any other practical questions or questions about content? Any other questions at all or ideas? We'll wrap this up in a moment. Probably got time for one more if anyone has one. Oh, great. Thanks, Sally. So yeah, just check that out. Did you notice as well, everyone, that Jane put a few links into the chat a bit earlier? And that promo video is a really good thing to show your school if they're not sure about what Easter in a Box is. It's a good thing to show them, the little promo video. There's also that 3-minute training video is great for if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to ask so-and-so and so-and-so from church to help me, or from another church or wherever. The 3-minute training, if they're kind of used to being in schools and doing things with children, that 3-minute training video will kind of fill them in. Also, this was being videoed, so this will go on our YouTube website, YouTube channel, so you could share this video with anyone else who's wanting to help you. The resource link is there, and then we've got one more training session left on March the 7th. So if you've got, again, volunteers in your team who you'd like to come along to a training like this, there's one on March the 7th, so there's the link there to it in the chat. Please tell us how it went if you used it. We'd love to know your experiences. So please do, again, you can contact us via our website, or we're just both liz@bristolschoolsconnection.co.uk or jane@bristolschoolsconnection.co.uk. In fact, do you want to post those in the chat quickly, Jane, while I just finish up? Yeah, if you're feeling even slightly overwhelmed by it all, maybe just go small, do one class this year, maybe use it in church, you know, get familiar with it, and then you can use it year on year on year on year on year with perhaps that same year group each year, or maybe your confidence will grow and you'll do it with a couple of year groups. That'd be great. Okay, I think that we are done. So it just remains to say thank you so much for joining us and giving up part of your morning. We hope that you'll enjoy using Easter in the Box, and more to the point, that the children will have a great time exploring the Easter story with you. So thanks for coming. You've all slightly frozen, so that might be
fine.
Oh, I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back. Did you miss all of that? I'm sorry. Okay, I'll say that. Where did I?
You just said you were just about to say bye, I think.
Okay, thanks so much for coming. We hope you have a great time, and that the children will really love exploring the Easter story with you. So thanks for coming, and we'll maybe see you all again soon.
Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.